Hey, welcome to Networking Star. This is the podcast where we explore some of the strategies and ideas of some of the most successful entrepreneurs online. Today I have a very interesting guest, Dr. Aaron LeBauer. He is out of North Carolina, and he has a very specific niche where he helps physical therapists make money 6 and 7 figures without having to rely upon insurance companies. Thanks for being with us, Doctor.
Hey, Jeffrey, thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
So it's okay if I call you Doctor, or do we go with Aaron? What's the best?
You can call me Aaron. I mean, if you're my patient, I'd say call me Dr. LeBauer, but we're on a podcast. Just call me Aaron.
All right, we'll go with Aaron for today. So you have a very interesting niche, and we talked to a lot of entrepreneurs and the non-PT entrepreneurs that are out there may think, well, what does this have to do with it? I think it has a lot. It's a very specific niche where you're not just helping a specific niche, but you're helping them with a very interesting part of their practice. How did you get started with this part of your entrepreneurship?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I was in physical therapy school, on my first clinical rotation, I saw 43 patients one day. And I knew that day that I wasn't going to be able to work for someone else as a physical therapist in that model. I had spent 8 years as a massage therapist, and people are already telling me, Aaron, you're the first person to touch me where I've hurt. I've been to see physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, surgeons, massage therapists, and you're the first person to touch me there and like my knee, my neck, and I feel so much better. And I knew in PT school I had to have more time to do that. And so this day I'm working till 9:30. I saw 43 patients, and I was like, there's no way I could do this. And I was only 13 months into PT school. And I told my clinical supervisor, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to need to just, start my own business and just not use insurance. And he said, no one's going to pay more than their copay for physical therapy. And at the time, copays were $20 and $35. So when I graduated, I started my own practice.
So basically it was out of, well, it sounds to me that you're the consummate entrepreneur. You have a tough time, the idea of somebody else telling you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Mm-hmm. So you are a pretty typical entrepreneur, but a lot of doctors are not entrepreneurs.
Right. I wasn't born that way. Maybe I was born this way, but I wasn't raised to be an entrepreneur. I was raised to be a physician, and my dad and his brothers and my grandfather, when they were practicing, my dad's 88, when they were practicing, you would see your patient and you would examine them, and you'd meet them in your office and talk to them for 20 minutes and spend time with them. Nowadays, that's not the case. But that's kind of how I learned to treat patients. And I just got to this point where I knew I couldn't do that. And I had to find something else. And then from there, that really sparked the entrepreneurial journey. But it is, you're right. I don't like when people tell me what to do, where to be, and how to do it. I want to just do my job and get it done and not be micromanaged.
I think that's probably the warning sign for someone as an entrepreneur. If you can't work for a bozo, that you've got to expand your horizons on it. But so I grew up in a lawyer's household, a judge's household, and one of the things that you're seeing is that all of these former industries that used to be groups and used to be able to have, I guess, a career that was fairly stable. Many of these stable former careers, and I'm assuming that's a lot with what you're seeing with the changes in insurance, that you had to make an adjustment to be able to survive.
Yes, insurance, especially in physical therapy, but all across healthcare, reimbursements are declining. Inflation is going up, and salary expectations are going up, and people come out of grad school with $100,000 to $300,000 worth of debt, and they want to be able to get a job where they're making $100,000 a year so they can pay it off in their own lifetime. And that's not really possible because insurance companies keep deciding to pay less, and those two things don't mix. And we're getting to the crisis point, but we're not 100% there yet. But as we get closer, people see the writing on the wall, and they want to have more time, more freedom to do what they want and do what their patients need, and to make decisions based on the best well-being of their patients and not how they'll get paid.
Well, and I think that yours is kind of a cautionary tale of where so many different entrepreneurs are finding themselves. We talk about the millennials. The millennials aren't necessarily the young ones anymore. And these millennials are looking for the ability to do it. And there's a recent thing that you talk about kids coming out of school. I came out of law school with well over $100,000 of debt 20 years ago. And I paid it off not by being an attorney, had to be far more conventional or unconventional to be able to pay it off. And I paid it off years before most of my classmates. So a lot of times out of these necessities, you're able to create some amazing results. So talk about it. You help these PTs, physical therapists, make 6 and 7 figure incomes, going completely against the way that they were probably taught or thought that they were going to make the money.
Right. So what happens is people come out of grad school and they're really smart. They know how to solve problems, and then you get a job and you're trained kind of subconsciously that you're worth whatever you're getting paid per hour or per visit. But that's not an appropriate amount to charge when you own a business. So let's say you make $40 an hour in the hospital. When you come out and you're doing a regular, practice, whether you're in network or out of network, you have to bill or charge much higher amount, more than just $80 an hour, to be able to pay yourself and pay all the business expenses, marketing and overhead, and especially if you want to hire someone else. And this like mindset shift is something that people they don't have coming out of school, and you have to create and learn, and you have to be around people that have it. And so one of the biggest challenges around money mindset and how people value their services. And so as long as I can help people see that problem and start to create it and solve it for themselves, then it becomes more logical, because healthcare professionals and scientists, we think with logic and not emotion as much. At the same time, they get stuck on the how can I sell a high value service when someone can go down the street and pay a copay. And the solution to that is we create offers for our patients and customers about what they want, not physical therapy. And so we're not selling the service and widget, we're helping them set and attain a transformation, like a goal. So we have to interview them. We have to do the motivational interviewing and more of a sales process to find out what people really want. And then we can create those programs for people. And that's like really the big hurdle that people have to get over.
See, what you just said something that I'd like to talk more about because it's really curious to me. You talk about the motivational interview process.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's applicable to far more than just your industry. Explain
Right.
a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, I think that the number one thing people get stuck in is asking questions about not just about what people want, but about what people are trying to buy or get. So in physical therapy, it's, well, how much range of motion is important to you? Our patients don't care about that. People don't care about the widgets or the names of things. They care what it's going to do for them. And so what we have to do is ask questions around where the problem is and where people want to go. And then the other piece of that is to say, hey, Mrs. Jones, I heard you say that your knee hurts and it's keeping you from walking, and you're struggling to climb the steps, and you have a grandchild that lives on a 2-story walk up, and you'd like to be able to walk up there and play with them. Is that right? And they go, yes. And then the person thinks, oh my God, he heard me. He knows exactly what my story is. And I said, well, and I say to her, well, I can absolutely help you do that. We help people do that all the time. Would you like to learn more about our program so that we can help you, and repeat their goal? And there's that part of it. So that's like the active listening part. And then there's the questions that have to come in between of getting people to almost sell themselves into the plan, because I can't always just tell you what you need. I have to get you to understand that you have that need. And then I can make an offer for the thing that now you want.
Well, and so this is universally applicable. I mean,
Yep.
this is great because you think about how many times as new entrepreneurs, even existing entrepreneurs, I'm guessing you run into a lot of physical therapists who are very stuck in their mindset of how they've done it. They want you to
Mm-hmm.
fix it, but they don't want to change anything.
Right, right. And it's patients, it's physical therapists. They think they know exactly what they need, and they come and ask for help, but they don't want to be coachable. They don't want to do the work, because as a society, we all want a quick fix. And we think that just because I paid for the thing, I downloaded the free thing, I took action on it, now that absolves me of all my responsibility for my own problems. Like, I can't solve anyone's problems for them. I can show you some answers and show you some solutions that I can see that you can't. But we all have to take like personal responsibility to improve ourselves, whether that's in our business, our emotional and mental health, and our physical well-being.
So you have this mindset. You've talked about it also, I'm sure that you still get guys that come in and say, fix this for me, but just simply will not or don't have a mindset to be able to change. What do you do with that client that comes in and says, fix it for me, and wants to throw some money towards you to be able to help them fix their practice, but simply isn't willing to implement or to be coachable like you talked about?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple things I can do. And I've said this to patients before, like, I just need you to fix this. It's like, I can't fix it, but I can help you fix it yourself. So I let people know if they directly say, I need you to fix this thing. I can say, well, I can do this one little thing for you, or I can show you this, but the work is on your end. And so one of the rules I have in my coaching program, and I learned this from my business coach, or one of my business coaches, Taki Moore, is that I set expectations from my clients in the beginning, and I ask them to commit to asking for help when they need it, taking action and implementing what they learn, and then sharing their wins and lessons along the way. And if they can do those things, they'll go really far, because as humans, we have a hard time asking for help. And a lot of times we don't want to ask for help. And then when we ask for help, we don't want to implement what we just learned or the answer we got. And the reason is because a lot of people don't believe that they're either worthy of the result or that the result is possible for them, so that they sit on the fence. And one of the things, I have a shirt, and it's in my book. It says 80% is good enough. And this was as I was teaching some grad students, physical therapists, professionals. Like, we've all been through grad school. Everyone who's gone through grad school, or even college, the whole drive is to get an A. But perfectionism is going to kill your business. And so I told them, I said, look, 80% is good enough. You just have to get 80 to get this website, your e-book, your lead magnet out into the world. And even with business, or even with your body, like, you just have to do something. But doing nothing isn't going to get you anywhere. And a lot of people just sit and do nothing. And that's why they don't succeed. So if I have a coaching client that comes in and they don't do that, well, I just can't help them, but I'll encourage them. But a lot of times those are the people that self-select themselves out of the program.
Yeah, there's no question that self-selecting happens, doesn't it? And I think sometimes as a new coach, you really think that you're going to be able to help everybody, but you cannot. I mean,
Right.
there's simply limitations to what you can do for a certain amount of the people. I like very much what you said about 80% is good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You find that, especially with people in the health field, or you see this a lot with entrepreneurs, that they're just really reluctant to get started because they think that they've got to have the answers, they got to have all the polish, they have to have everything ready before they get going. Talk a little bit more about that 80% and why it is good enough.
Yeah. Like, the perfectionism piece is just an excuse for not being successful. It's like, well, it's not perfect, so I'm just not going to do it. And everyone is thinking that other people are going to criticize me. Well, the criticism is good. I posted a reel today about something I tell people all the time, is that you're not doing, you're doing the right thing when you get your haters come on board. When you have haters, you're doing something right, but everyone's so afraid of criticism that they won't even get started. And so, like I mentioned before, let's say, for example, with like a lead magnet, I write an ebook. As soon as I started using the word ebook with physical therapists, they thought it had to be this 300-page document with all the research citations. I'm like, it just has to be 2 to 5 pages, and 95% of people won't read it. And they're like, well, what is that about? Like, they won't read my important information. It's not about the content of the book. It's just leverage to get them on your email list so we can follow up with them later. And so many people don't see the big picture. They think they're playing a different game. They're playing an academic game instead of an entrepreneurship game. And in business, it's money loves speed, and perfection kills your business faster than anything else. And we just have to make sure that it's a minimum viable product and put it out there. And so I was telling my daughters know this, and I said something about 8% is good enough, and one of them goes, yeah, but Dad, but you also said 78% is okay too. Because it doesn't really matter. It just has to be this minimum viable product. We have to get it out there and see if it works. On the flip side, I've worked with people that I wasn't able to help, who had spent $30,000 and $50,000 recording these beautiful videos for this online course. And then they came to work with me, and they were so mad that they couldn't make their money back within a few months. And not the money they invested with me, but the money they put in their course. And then they were like, the coaching doesn't work. I'm like, we didn't have this discussion before you dropped 50K. And they had, I mean, one of them made 70K, but it wasn't directly from that. And it was just this whole mindset of I have to do this perfect thing and then go sell it. But my most successful clients and the most successful launches that I've ever had, I've sold the thing before I even created it. And people were like, wow, how could you do that? Just create a sales page and sell the idea and tell people, like, when we have enough people, I'll deliver it. And those are, I mean, I've made 7 figures off selling something before I've created it. And I've lost 6 figures off things that I've created before I've sold them.
Yeah. Well, and as you said, I'll try to say it the way that you said. I've heard it in different ways. I've heard success loves speed. I've heard money loves speed. But perfection, how did you set at the end of it? The success or money loves speed, but
Perfection kills your business faster than anything else.
it does.
Yeah.
That's a good, I think, a good addendum to that very popular phrase with that.
Yeah.
Well, tell people where they can find you.
The best place to find me is on Instagram at Aaron LeBauer. It's AARON, like Aaron, and then LE with B as in boy, AUER. And if you can't find me there, just put my name into Google to find me.
Well, finish up by just giving, the people that listen to this are entrepreneurs of all types. What do you tell that brand new entrepreneur? You've got that blank slate, or you may have graduated, or you may not even have a professional degree. What do you tell that entrepreneur to get up, get moving, and start making money?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that a brand new entrepreneur needs to find is a mentor or coach who's doing it, and not just find them and pick their brain, but pay them for speed. And then it's the idea of, like, if you know exactly what you want and why, then that's going to be the thing that gets you up at 5 a.m. every morning to take action every day to move towards your goal. And it's going to be a rocky road, and there's a wave, and you just have to ride the wave. Some days will be up, some will be down. You just have to minimize the ups and downs and keep going, and don't stop, because everyone else will quit long before you do.
It's good stuff. Dr. Aaron, gave you, I guess, Dr. LeBauer. Thanks for being with us. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jeffrey.